Hello, everybody. Jim here to let you know that the Spy Family episode that you're going to be listening to here, something me and Luke did about a year ago, a little over a year ago when we first started out our podcast. And I figured because of the anime coming out, it'd be pretty cool to re-release it. So some people might want to jump on and listen, find out what me and Luke are all about. And if you are one of those people, hey, welcome. That's cool. You could go over to Twitter at Weird Manga. Follow us there. We'll follow you back 100%. Also, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science Manga to get a bunch of Manga Monday shows in advance and also early access to what will start being our big thing on the podcast feed here, our manga reading clubs. We have a bunch of manga reading clubs coming up in May. This allows me also to let everybody know about those because we're pretty excited about it, where each day of the week there will be a show. Mondays, we have our Manga Monday shows, but then starting on May 3rd, Tuesday, May 3rd, we're going to start off our manga reading clubs. Each day has a different manga that we're starting at chapter 1 to kind of get people involved and whatnot, and that's going to include My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Death Note, and the Dragon Ball. So all those will be coming up starting in May. Each day has a different show. You can check all those things out, and we hope that you do. But again, this is a kind of a re-release of an episode that we ended up doing way back. And we ended up doing chapter 1 and then chapter 2 of Spy Family. I'll probably put chapter 2 up as well. So like I said, it's kind of in the zeitgeist right now with the anime that a lot of people are loving right now on Spy Family. And it's such a great book. It really, really is. Anya, one of my characters of all time. So listen, hey, I hope everybody enjoys it. And then, yeah, rate and review us, all that stuff. But we'll get to the episode right now.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
This is Spy Family, Chapter 1, and it's a book that is so cool the way it's set up, and things are done so smart in it that you realize a lot of stuff only after reading it a couple times. And I've read it now 4 times, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's how much I like this. And I really, really like. Now, with that, you listen to us talk about this. And then later, if you're not on the Patreon, eventually the chapter 2 will come out as a Manga Monday. And that still doesn't get even close to how good it gets later when you have just the whole dynamic of the family and things like that. It is a really, really good book.
We don't even get any Yor in this chapter, and she's the best.
When I first read I said, this is so good. You're like, well, wait till the mom comes around. I'm like, really? And I thought, it can't get any better, can it? And it did.
Boom.
So just keep that in mind. But again, that's almost, another reason why I wanted to do the current stuff, that we can kind of talk about things more than just that first chapter. But the first chapter of the Manga Monday is a good jumping in point, right? And then you go off, it'll all work out.
And they can jump on with the Manga Monday, and then they can keep up with the, I don't know, we don't have a name for the new one.
Wednesday reviews. I came for the Manga Monday, but I stayed for the whatever they'll call it
there you
on
go.
The Wednesday.
It's
right?
just that easy.
The Wednesday Reviews Day Manga style.
Wow.
The problem is we'll be stuck with trying to come up with some crazy name, and then we'll just skip that one. And we'll come up with something else. But we're going to end up finding that out by next Wednesday. But we're here again for Spy Family. Give me some stats.
Yes. And I've probably done these stats for like chapter 2, but we'll do them again. You know, that's how we do it. Spy X Family, written and drawn by mangaka Tatsuya Endo. That's the name. First published digitally on the Jump Plus app in Japan, and subsequently released on the Manga Plus app and Shonen Jump app over here in the West. So you get it on the Manga Plus and the Shonen Jump. 6 volumes released so far, 4 in the West, volume 5 dropping in June. And we got to talk about these 6 volumes, because just these 6 volumes, Jim, they have done big numbers.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
It's ridiculous.
We're talking 8 million copies in circulation. with just 6. Bear in mind, that's like a lot of series, they get 8 million copies with 20, 30 volumes. This is 6 volumes. And just that was as of December. And in January 2021 alone, 1.3 million copies sold in that month, which is big numbers.
This is the code. Somebody else has got a crack here in the West. Now, when they come out, and this is just me asking, how many of these Shonen Jump, the Plus app books, how many of those, like just a percentage that you would give me, make it to like the big leagues and make it to the big deal? Is it a lot, or is it just not many, or what?
It depends on the series, because you got the likes of, Kaiju number 8, that's making it big. I think if it starts getting a volume over here, if they start getting the volumes released in the West, that's when it's like big for us.
Is there a lot that just don't ever make it and they just kind of disappear, or is it once you? I have no idea. I thought that maybe you could crack the code, because when I do with that, I'm like, I don't know. Like that seems like that's the minor leagues, and they're testing it out. And then if they're like, oh, everybody likes this, let's jump it up.
You just want to know if they're going to do Don't Blush the Kemi-san. That's what you want to know. We've got Time for Torture Princess. And we haven't seen any volumes for that. But that's still going strong in Manga Plus. So who knows? Maybe it will.
That's actually pretty popular. I was going through like the rankings. It's not, in the top 10.
For what it is, though. There. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So that has no volumes.
No.
So they realized, though, that they, Spy Family, we got something on our hands here, because obviously it sold tons. Anything else? I think we talked about it in the second chapter. We were wanting to get an anime. I mean, I think we spent a lot of that beginning of that chapter.
I was kind of hoping by the time we would cover the chapter 1, there would be
I think you might even say that at one point, or said that to me at least, that maybe we would get it, because it seems perfect for it. We'll say it again when that chapter 2 comes out, but it's perfect for it. You almost can see it while it's going on, how great it would be, but still no announcements at all.
No. And I think we said in when we were doing chapter 2, it's probably just a lack of material.
Yeah, material.
This stage,
Yeah.
But
hopefully.
Bear in mind, that's 6 volumes, so
that's what I'm saying. They should get on it.
That's one season at least, right?
Yeah. I guess maybe they want to get like 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. But it'd be huge. I mean, obviously, if it sells that much, they have to be looking at it to get to a point where they would just start making it an anime. Because, it would be humongous.
I can definitely see a stage play out of it. This has big stage play potential right here. Oh, my goodness.
What I would do is I'd have somebody off the stage, and they're the ones that mouth the thoughts, and it's in an echo. So then Anya's reading them, or have them pre-recorded. Actually, would be better than having some other actor over there doing it. But it'd be really good. I mean, it wouldn't. You'd have some action. It'd be cool. But there's no stage plays yet, obviously. And what I wish I could look up, like, what is the newest stage play? Like, what is the newest manga that has a stage play? Because maybe we don't even realize stage plays are a thing of the past. We're talking about, and they're like, oh my God, that's like my grandfather used to go to the stage plays or something like that. Like, maybe not a lot of them, but I want to know what the latest one of the newer.
You want to have your ear to the pulse.
I want to, but I can't. Streets. I don't speak Japanese. And I tried to go to a couple sites, not friendly. For my knowledge base. I'm like, nope, I can't speak Japanese. I looked at the pictures and all that. But with anything else?
That's about it at this stage.
And this chapter 1, it's a long one.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the longer chapters that we've had in the chapter 1 deal. And I'll tell you, it does go by really quick at points, then it slows down a little. And we were trying to just figure out before we recorded, are there places that maybe they went a page too far to, kind of take some out? I wouldn't, because I do love this, but there is kind of a lull at points where at the beginning it's all excitement and you're learning new things and the characters and stuff. But there is this one point where it does seem like, okay, let's get moving. But then it does. I mean, sometimes you have those, let's get moving. It never does. And that's when you get upset. Still, though, this starts out showing you the conflict between nations. You have Westalis and Astania. And this isn't necessarily that important right now. It's just to show you that there's countries at war, bordering countries. They have spies. that go back and forth, and we're introduced to the best of the best, Twilight, who is one of our main characters. He is the dad, quote unquote, in the spy family as we get it. But you end up where you could get real dark with this. And some of the stuff does kind of go between and try to tread that line. But it is just goofy fun, even with the idea that what this one guy wants to do, this bad guy, that there is proof that the foreign minister of his country, it seems, wears a hairpiece. He wants to get the negatives and the proof that this, because what he says is all government should be transparent, and wearing a hairpiece is a no-no. Now, with that, everybody in these pictures, I think, really knows this. You have to say, it's a funny progression of pictures. It looks like a Secret Service type deal behind this guy. It's obviously windy. They're freaking out and he loses his hairpiece. And these are the pictures that's going to bring down the government.
This is enough to make him resign, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what
this is going to end it. And then this guy swoops in, all these things going on, and gets what he wants out of, that job of foreign minister, because, you want to get that because he can, take some cashenda under the table and stuff and get some things. But that's not here nor there here.
This is just kind of setting up the world, the lived-in world.
And it's like a goofy deal. That's kind of funny about the idea of a hairpiece is going to bring down a nation and a resignation and all this stuff. And you have this bad guy. He's, hey, okay, give me those, pictures that you promised me. Okay, and the spy gives it to him. He walks away and then realizes, oh, crap, that wasn't that guy. That was a dupe. That was Twilight with his phony face. And he ends up getting into a car and it's going off. And it's like, this man was a spy. And it goes through the whole deal about information is crucial. That's how wars are fought now. You have spies. But just to show how bad this Twilight guy is. I mean, he at the beginning is just a piece of crap. I mean, he really is, because
he's all business, isn't he?
And he can't care, because if you care as a spy, you die.
There you go.
So he has been playing the long con here to get close to this guy that he ended up impersonating and getting and all these things, because he's dating his daughter to the point where they are, she's talking about marriage.
Yeah.
Well, the job's done. See you, sayonara, sucker. They're sitting there at a restaurant, and you see somebody, oh, Robert, look, somebody's proposing. Do you suppose we'll ever do that someday? And he's like, oh, by the way, I want to break up. You're a moron. Thanks a lot, baby. Like, he's like, my job's done here. And she is like, what is she going to do from this? Like, this guy that she thinks that she's going to marry later just said she's a moron. He says, your conversations suggest a limited intellect. And then he gets up, changes, goes into the alley, and throws the pictures into the burn barrel there in the alley, because he was hired so that these pictures didn't get out. And he just tosses it, and he says, I toss everything. This Robert that he's been playing, that life is dead. I'm moving on. Cool spy stuff, right? I mean, it really is pretty cool. And then he goes to a train station where he gets his next contact seemingly through a ciphered, maybe talking paper, it seems at one point. But, this whole cipher deal where this next assignment, he needs to go. And really, that also shows he doesn't get a day off. It's right from one to the other.
One mission to the next.
And he's got to do this assignment where he's got to get near this Donovan Desmond. And this guy, if you go by the idea that if you can see the whites of somebody's eyes around the pit, this guy barely has anything but the whites.
He's off the deep end.
This is the thing. If this guy is 50 yards away and you want to wait till you see the whites of his eyes, you're shooting then, because they're just there. I mean, I haven't seen eyes bulging like this since The Elusive Samurai.
Oh, geez.
And so little current deal there. But to get that, he's the leader of the National Unity Party. He's a guy, he's a dissenter. He's doing all this stuff, but they have to get close to him and figure out what's going on. And so the big thing of this is the idea of a spy who could do anything is now going to have to go and pretend to have a family, a wife and kid. And that is so over what he's used to. I don't think he's ever spit coffee into his assignment. He had a spit take. Because this is nothing like he had ever done. But that's the thing is this newspaper like talking to him? Because it even
it keeps like, going, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like really odd. And he has to do this quick. So things are of the essence where he has to get a family. At the one point, they're saying a family, and wife and kid. He thinks that all he has to do is get a kid because he needs to get this kid into an elite private school that this Desmond guy Donovan Desmond's son goes to, and he only goes outside to go there. And it seems like that's kind of a meeting place for these guys anyway. So he's got to get this. Girl, this is very similar to a plot in American Dad, the cartoon, where you ended up Stan wanted to get to meet a governor or something. So he ended up so you end up having all this stuff going on. And it's just, he doesn't know how to do this. And right away, he's a little off his game. Everything else he can do, but have a family. And the problem is, though, they even say, we're going to count on you because you're the one who makes the world, what it is, unsafe and things like that. And it's pretty crazy with that. But then you look at, why are all those people smiling at him? And it looks like they're all looking at him, but they're not because he's across. But you see, I was like, why are they looking at him like that?
Because they just ripped apart that newspaper with the inhuman strength. Oh my goodness!
It's like when the people used to rip the telephone books. Like they were like old school strong. But he's got to do this. He's going to take the whole deal, but it does go against everything that he does and everything he is. The idea of Spy gives up family because they're a liability. Now I got to pretend to have one. But when you go, you do see a progression in this one issue, in one chapter of him, but it's not enough because he really does, leave a little girl, pretty much a young girl, out to dry a lot. You go from that because he goes off to an orphanage. He thinks that he's going to do this by the book. He's a guy who, and you see later even, he doesn't know things like this through experience. He thinks that if he studies enough and he's smart enough and he can lie and pretend enough, that he can do this, but he goes off to an orphanage with this piece of, I don't like this. It's like Mario. He's like a drunken Mario here. But I don't like this guy. But he goes there and you tell him what happens.
Yeah, you're right. This is just like, for Twilight, this is just another mission. First he secures the apartment, and that's all done by the book. And now he's like, well, next thing I got to secure is a child. So he finds, and look at this absolute dump of a place. Like, the fence is broken. This guy is clearly drinking on the job. I mean, and then one of the kids puts the booger on Twilight, and I was like, oh my, that kid is
he's getting whacked. He's going to get shot between the eyes. Also, no. I love the idea when they go in and it's a dump. Also, you do see wine bottles laying around the one, but they do draw the kids, every kid has this stupor. I think they're eating the lead paint here. They're just what's your guy? And this is the thing. He doesn't know exactly what is going to be going on, but you got to think that he says, I need somebody smart. But I don't know. I think I would have went to another, but he's in a bind because he can't leave a paper trail. There's a lot of cool things about this. And you'll go back into it. What I wanted to point out is the idea where he goes to find a kid, and just like the fiancé earlier, these are just tools. They are that they're less important than probably his gun in his mind. These are just things if you were going to be undercover and you had to rent a Volkswagen Beetle, that's you're done and you get rid of it. Just like this. He doesn't care about this because this identity and all this is just going to be burned afterwards, and he's going to move on. So that's the bad part of it. The idea of thinking, and you find out later, it really is that he just thinks of whatever kid he's going to get is just a means to an end. He's not going to care for this kid and pretty much ditching them at any sort of, inconvenience. And it's crazy. But you go on because, this dump is just bad. I mean, it is really bad.
But that's the thing as well. He would even rather, if he could, he would prefer to do this solo. He'd impersonate the kid, but obviously,
and I'm glad
Twilight
you put
is not that good.
Just think of this. He doesn't say it's impossible. He just says that would be a tall
that's
order.
Plan B or C. That's in his mind.
That is not wiped out. That's not taken off the list. He has not scratched that out because he's even for Westalis' greatest spy, impersonating a child would be a tall order. Not impossible. A tall order. I'm like, what are you going to do? He's a guy who may, I don't know, cut off his legs so that he is that crazy.
Part of me wants to have that mind.
Yeah, you want to have that. I just need him to do one of those where you end up putting the shoes through your knees and then walk around like that and have a big coat, stuff like that. That'd be awesome. Or he would be like me. He'd go in just his height, say, yeah, I'm 6, I have glandular problem, and end up dominating on the basketball team. He's just rejecting every kid. It's like Billy Madison. But yeah, you go on.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We start to see that there's a certain kid that right away catches Twilight's attention because he needs a kid that can read and write, at least. Like, he needs to have that base level there. And this drunk Mario, he has just the kid here, and he wants to get rid of this creepy little brat as he sinks. And that's the thing as well. We start getting it here, and it's subtle. But I'm sure like you probably noticed this a couple of times now as well, because you read it a couple of times. The little crackle, like the sound effect, that is when she's reading her minds.
Yep.
So
and it's awful because she hears him say in his mind, creepy little brat weirds me out. This is my chance to get her out of here. Now, that might excite her, though, because she wants to get out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And she has lived with a lot of rejection, which we'll see later. But also, I'd want to get away from that guy, too.
Yeah.
And it basically, it's, again, if it's like anything, it's like the movie Problem Child, where, you know, like, nobody was getting it, and then they end up where John Ritter, this is old people movie.
Old people movies.
They go and end up adopting him, and when he leaves the orphanage, they're all cheering, like, man, they must have really loved you. Now they were having a party because he was gone. This guy, because she is kind of creepy because she reads minds. And she doesn't talk a lot. It says doesn't say much, but she's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's just trying to sell it, right? But still, she does seem like a good kid. But it would be creepy if you come over and like, because some of the times what she does is you say, man, I could go for some sausages. Sausages? Like she just yells the stuff out. That would be creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It would be real creepy. And I think that a lot of this is where people can't take it because of that. The best part about this is, as we go, Twilight is too oblivious and in his own world to ever even realize anything is going on because he's too self-centered with his nonsense. But you go because he takes her.
And, like, you know, she might be putting on an act, but Anya, or Anna here, I suppose Anna's her name, she is, like, to a certain extent on the ball, you know, because she's like, this is my ticket out of here. So, first of all, because Twilight wants to have a kid that is at least 6 to enroll, because they, you know, she can't be having any younger than that. And then she says, oh, yeah, I'm 6, and that's because
again,
she reads
creepy if you're, because... you know, he's thinking she's not that tall. She looks like she's 4 or 5.
As he's looking at her as just just a tool, boom, that's all he needs. This is probably why it doesn't stick out for him, because he's like, well, the tool is performing the way I want it to perform. You know what I mean?
One of the best things that makes it work too is, you know, drunken Mario here. First, he's stupid at the what? You're 6 already, but he doesn't know. Well, also, there's no paperwork.
Oh no,
and that works so well for Twilight. But it also works for Anya, so she can just kind of say whatever. And I'm like, you know, you seem too short. He's thinking this. And she stands up on her tippy toes. It's so cute. She is a gem throughout this. She's such a gem. And then the last deal is she ends up being able to do the crossword puzzle as he is thinking of what the answers are. She's writing them down, which also serves well by the end that you can see that she does do that even to maybe pass a test later and get some things and stuff like that. But they did, you know, kind of have some other cheating things for it. But yeah, that's a stunning intellect. I'll take this one. Like, it doesn't even ask, like, really, or remember the name for a while. She has to keep saying and things like that. And yeah, the paperwork. Oh, there's no paper. I just like that. Don't worry about the paperwork. Just take her, get out of here. And like, okay, child acquired, mission accomplished, starts going. And that's what, honest, like, oh my God, he's a spy. And there's a mission. And then you get a page turn because you're like, oh, what is she going to be scared of? So cool. And then that's when it's great. The girl was a telepath. That's just all they say. The girl was a telepath. Boom. And then you do go and get a little 007 is kind of a wink wink of the deal. She possessed the ability to read minds. They all go. I like that even with that, she turns around to wave to all the kids. It's so nice. She's there. And then like, I hope that this isn't like that Promised Neverland nonsense. I hope you guys don't get eaten. I get eaten because I'm the one leaving. But yeah, they go through and you go because they're walking and you see this interaction here where you do keep seeing like Twilight this is just a job. Yeah. It's just a job. She's just part of the job here. But she's so cute that you can't help but fall in love with her, at least as the reader right away.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, right? She is straight away trying to please, because Twilight's like, you gotta call me father, as the lead dude. She just calls him Papa, and that's what she always calls him. And then even when they're going up the stairs and into the new apartment, I'm Anya, and I have always been Papa's child. So she's just trying to do whatever she can to get the good
said
books.
that earlier. Listen, if anybody asks, you've always been my child. I'm Papa. That's Papa, and I've always been Papa's child. Like, all right, that's fine. So she's just going to listen to anything he says. She will do, because, like you said, she is aiming to please. When she gets in, she's scared to go into the house because it's so big, or this apartment, because of where she had come from. But she sees a TV and is so excited that there's a TV, and turns it on, and her favorite show, Spy Wars, is on. Which then again, you're like, okay, I see why she's all excited. That's her favorite show. And she is still, even with her being smart and a mind reader, she's still a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times, like in this sort of thing, you think of her like as this super intelligent, over the top. No, she's a little kid, and she loves this Spy Wars show, and she wants excitement in her life, like she sees on the TV. That gets her in a lot of trouble. It gets
She's
her
a little too adventurous.
Yes, and she also adventurous. Maybe it helps out, because not only does it get her into trouble, but when the trouble comes, she seems to think that it's not as much danger as it is. Guys are being shot. Yeah, it's all cartoon. I saw this before. I like this. And it does cause some problems, though. But yeah, you have all the things that Twilight says, I got to secure this stuff. I'm going to step out for a bit. And that's where she just yells adventure time and grabs onto his leg. And he's trying to shake her off. And he's like, it's not adventure time. It's shopping. He wants to go alone. You turn the page. She's forced her way into going. And she ends up, we're going shopping. I want a silenced pistol. And he's like, we'll see if one's on sale. Like, it's funny, too, because when you ended up having Kick-Ass, the movie come, you see Hit Girl, this young little girl who's cursing and fight. That's one thing. But when you see a little girl, like, you realize she has not been out and about much, where she just wants this, but it's not in a mean way. She just wants the silenced pistol because that's what her favorite cartoon character, her favorite show has. And it's kind of funny that he has no idea how to act. He's trying to be normal, and she is just pointing things out. She's getting lost. She's yelling. And the big thing is, you should hold my hand. And he's like, okay, I'll do this because I don't want an enemy attack. And she freaks out. She starts running, and she's shaking her head, looking around. Oh, my God, where is it? Where is it? And then hides. And there's a problem. Again, like I said, that she can read his mind, and the things that he's saying end up scaring her, but also end up being very good at her to keep the stuff going and keep what's happening and realize, because the idea that he's like, I got to think of what this creature likes.
Like
I like peanuts. This is what I'm saying. She is so into, like, she doesn't know how to force this stuff in so that you think that she is answering. Like, she really just does blurt things out that you're thinking. But again, Twilight, I think the idea is like he can't interact with people anyway. He doesn't even get it that she is saying stuff really going off of what he's thinking. And it works out. It works out pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they go off. They end up, I like to. You just have little asides where she's like, I love there's bacon at the bakery. He's like, no, that's bakery. And he's like, I don't think this kid's very smart. Like, but she's young, right? I mean, that's pretty smart but he thinks she's a genius.
Oh, yeah.
She was doing the crosswords, but now it's like, maybe I can exchange her. Maybe, and then she just starts, don't get rid of me, starts crying. And again, people are looking.
What a
this
horrible
isn't conspicuous. But how isn't he reacting? Like, how does she know this? Except he is like thinking. And I think that what you get overall is that because of this stuff, he thinks that she's more in tune with like what's going on or something because of these. But it's so odd that he just doesn't say, what is going on, girl? But yeah, he has to calm the situation down because everybody's looking, what an awful parent. He's the worst. And then she says, I'm a good value. And he doesn't even react to that. He just gets her peanuts and then carries her home. And that's where you see he hasn't smiled at all. And you have to fall in love with her, though. She's drooling on his coat. All this stuff going. And he says, it's not working. I don't understand. I need to figure out what kids are. And you go, because this is what I said, where he thinks he can get everything from study.
Yeah, this is like the tool. He needs the manual to figure out how the tool works. So that's going to be books and essays about child rearing. So he heads over to the library and gets a big stack of books. It's like my stack of manga over in the back.
Really.
Oh my goodness.
He reads a little quicker.
I wish I could read this quick. Speed reading over here. Oh my
Either
goodness.
that or he's not paying attention.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
I think he's reading. That's the other thing. He's super smart.
Oh yeah, he's taking in all the details here and he's trying to learn from them. But then after a while, he's just thinking because he's figuring out how to, make the child's future. And then he's like, this doesn't matter. It's not going to be a waste. It's going to be a waste of time. It's not going to be a future for her. She isn't going to be anywhere. She's just going to go to the orphanage once the mission is complete. And we do see a little. She's got that little lion teddy bear that she seems to bring around the place. It's
like a lion unicorn with bat wings. I mean, it's a crazy teddy bear. But it's cool. And but they got to get ready for this test. She's got to pass an entrance exam, and she hates studying. And she freaks out to the point where it looks like, she's crying and doesn't want to study. She says, I don't need to study. I'll just read the answers from. And he's going to say, or she's going to other kids' minds. But she doesn't want to let him know that she was told as a little girl, even littler girl, don't let anybody know.
Keep that secret.
Read minds. That's a secret. And I like the way that these, ends up, the ellipses end up where they think in their mind. And you plan to cheat your way through. You realize that if you don't pass, my mission will fail. Like he's trying to keep the secret
both
that
hiding things.
This is just a mission.
Yes.
No crackle going on there, by the way, too.
Oh.
So she's just there because she's upset. She's not concentrating on doing any of that. And they are having a standoff. I mean, they're just staring at each other. It's so cute. But with that, too, he shows how bad a parent he is. He's not ready for this. But also you find out just how great on it is, because when you end up, he's going to leave. He's like, I got to go get something. I'm going to be gone. Oh, I'll come with you. No, you stay here. And as he's going, he keeps turning around and she's always sneaking behind him. And I love the point where she's at one point, she's in the ducting in the roof. And I saw you. And it's almost like this should be fun, but it's not. She's just trying to go. She doesn't want to be left. Again, because she's been abandoned so many times. When he goes and throws her into the room again, she's like a piece of paper just flying into the room and ends up locking the door and barricades it in. I mean, really, if you do this, you're awful.
You're going to put on a list, right?
Awful person. I mean, all I can think of is if there's a fire, she's done.
Oh.
And she, starts fiddling around with stuff. And also he's got guns in there, all these things. So they're crazy. But he goes to see his contact, Frankie. I like Frankie. He's
Frankie's
pretty funny.
a gem.
Frankie is a gem. He looks a little tired at first, but this whole idea of, hey, I locked the kid back there with a barricade. He even says, you're going to get reported for child abuse, dude. But they dug into who this is. She's had a bunch of foster homes, and they always return her. She always gets and gone through orphanages. Everybody abandons her. And it's just odd. They don't have any records. Like there's no birth records at all, which again, that is great for Twilight on the surface because there's nothing that can trace anything here. But she's got many names because of all these different, places and families she's living. Just like perfect for you, dude. And he gets mad. And it was like, hey, just a joke. And then he walks away without paying Frankie, who just works in a tobacco store, it looks like, or some place where you buy newspapers and stuff. Yeah. And he doesn't even give him any money. He's like, oh man, I hate working with spies. While that's going on, though, you go back because Anya is there and she's laying on the couch looking like Paper Mario. She's all stretched out, so bored. And I guess, you would think that somebody could read minds and things things are always pretty busy for her, and be in a room by herself with it probably would get boring.
And even when she was in the orphanage, she was already surrounded by thoughts.
Yeah. So she doesn't even have that. I'm sure just to pass the time at points, she just reads minds.
Yeah.
Here's what people are thinking. She has nothing, and she gets bored. But she also shows she is smart. We were talking that but she is smart because she ends up reading minds, but also remembering things, because when you end up, if you're doing a combination lock, you probably do in your mind say the combination to yourself as you're doing it. And that's how you ended up Twilight locking the room with all the spy stuff. Well, she ended up with that crackle again, like you said, listening in his mind to see the combination. So she goes in to have fun with the spy stuff. And this might be one of the funniest things you go from here, because she ends up, this is where she starts getting herself in a lot of trouble.
And she's even like, she's looking for the adventure, just like the cartoon. She's looking for the bombs and the science pistols.
And the silence pistol.
And what does she find? But a spy radio. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
And then straight away, hilarity ensues, because she's just boop, beep. She's putting it all together. And then we go, like,
she
this
does
is.
know how to use it.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess from the show. Maybe because she's starting to send out actual communiques.
Yeah, like little Morse code stuff going on here.
They're being intercepted by the bad guy from earlier, who Twilight duped, and even uses the Twilight name, Twilight here, and then starts throwing shade. And it causes trouble, right?
Yeah, the big guy who was looking for the toupee, he is not happy by this shade. And he's like, find the source of this transmission. I'm going to kill him. And I like as well, like, you know, Anya, and she finishes the transmission and she's all happy, she's satisfied. But then she realizes, the reality of the situation kind of kicks in. And she's like, this place is a mess. And when Twilight comes home, he's not going to be happy that, you know, she was playing with all this spy stuff. So
and on her spy show that she watched earlier, they ended up having the main guy say, you know, I'm a spy, you have to die.
Yeah.
And now she thinks that's what's going to happen, which it might.
Maybe.
It could. I mean, at least back to the orphanage. But boy, she's upset, and she ends up trying to. And this is where you get this flashback.
This is the feels.
And yeah, it is, because she was told, you know, hey, hide your powers. If people find out, you know, they'll be mad. You run away if that's, you know, all that. Don't ever let anybody know. But you go, because you end up. She was experimented on.
Yeah. And we do see, the whole thing, and this is what you were saying about, like, the test. She doesn't like doing the test because that's all she had to do.
Yeah.
That was how she was going to bring about world peace, by using her power to do all these tests. And then she just wanted to draw. And then we see the little tears here.
And with that, again, I'm gonna catch up on this, and we'll talk about new chapters or whatever. But I can only think that whoever it was that, hey, you know, don't ever tell anybody about it and then run, had to have been somebody that felt bad for her.
Maybe
one
busted
of the
her out.
And busted her out.
Yeah.
And I would think that would have to be, because who else would tell her this?
Yeah.
You know, don't tell her you could just disappear, go off, you know, and take her somewhere. Because, it's so sad. And she's crying. We don't have time for tears. You're not here to play. And it's just mean. Again, though, those scientists are using her as a tool. They're using her not as a little girl, but just like Twilight's doing. Like, she seems to have the same deal. And how could you do that to such a cute little girl? But you run into bad people, I guess. He comes home and he realizes that somebody has moved the barricade that he put outside the door. He knows somebody's in this room. And he is concerned about Anya a bit, but it seems more like it's because she's playing the role and he needs her at this point. But he still does seem like he's starting to break down a little, like he is concerned that it might be his fault. Because you say it's a big attack. It's a big fight here.
Yeah, and this is when we get, like, this is the most action kind of we get so far in the chapter, and it is pretty cool. Because he walks in straight away, and then we see, like, the sneak attack setup about to go off, but he's got, like, the quick spy reflexes. He dodges the baseball bat attack. 9 dragons out of nowhere. Oh, my goodness. And then he makes short work of this dude, and then there's another guy who's about to get shooting. And then he uses, like, the tactical groceries. He chucks the tuna can at this guy, and it, like, goes straight to his nose. And then just absolutely whacks him with a chair and just dismantles this guy. He is out for the count by the end of it. So he made short work of these dudes. But now he's worried because he can't find Anna. And, like, even in her room, she's nothing there. She's abducted, maybe. And he's starting to worry, who are these guys? Who are these thugs? And then he's like, okay, this is bad now. The mission has been compromised at this stage. I got to get myself to safety. But then he's thinking, well, for Anna, there's no shortage of kids. You know, that tool is done. I can just get another tool.
Yeah, it's so bad. You're like, dude, you can't do that. And you're so upset that you think he's just going to go off. until then you see that he seemingly gets hit over the head with the bat from the guy who was knocked out and go. But that's the thing, you get the twist in a little bit because you go off and see that head guy who's real concerned about the toupees. And the idea is like, all right, now we're going to be able to expose that toupee. And there's one side, hey, boss, I think it's time to move on from that hairpiece thing. That guy gets shot right in the face in an instant without even, how badass is it when you shoot somebody and don't even look?
He's not even looking.
I mean, he just shoots him and says, that's what I said earlier, the idea of transparency in the government, toupees are a no-go. Also the ministers of trade has been selling secrets back to the West. So he has his other reasons.
Well, you think the toupee is more important, right? Jeez.
Yeah, that's all he cares about. Because that's where he can humiliate him. Well, that's where there's Anya there, and she is in a shopping cart tied up with her mouth with the tape over. But she, at the point, doesn't seem as upset as she should be because the guy has a silenced pistol. And then after the talk, that's a real life bad guy.
Oh, no.
Like she's all excited. And that's when the guys come back seemingly with Twilight because they were wondering like, what is this girl? Is this girl Twilight's kid or whatever? We're going to be able to ransom her off. We'll be able to get him here. And then in the meantime, you do end up having, the whole deal going on where they seemingly have captured Twilight. And then there's a twist that I don't understand how it happened. And this might be the only thing that takes me down a little by the end. Not much, but the idea of where was this switcheroo?
I want to know how this happened,
Because he must have blocked that bat before it hit him, but you do have that thunk right after, but he must have then thunked I don't know.
Did it happen in the van, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know because because there's other guys.
There's other guys. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's so weird. Now it's a cool concept where you have Twilight brought in. Oh, so you have to change his clothes. Yeah. So the other guys, right? So they come in and bring Twilight. He has a bag over his head. They throw him down, and there's trash talking. Oh my God, Twilight, this is it. Your photographs belong to me. And you see this other guy, the guy who supposedly hit him over the head with the bat, sweating and says, I don't really feel good. I got to go to the bathroom. I shouldn't eat that chili and wings last night. And he goes off only to then have the Twilight be revealed is the thug. I mean, this is like Chris Angel mind freak stuff, right? All of a sudden he's going to pull a card out of his mouth and it's going to be the one we picked at the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, oh my God. So they realize Twilight. Now, the best thing is he's still disguised as the bad guy, and they're going after him, and Anya knows right away because she can read his mind. She can tell that it's him, all that stuff going on. He is so upset with himself that he came back to get her that, in my mind, he's already starting to fall for her, and he does. And he thinks he's off his game. He's not doing things right because of this, and this is going to be the downfall for him. He didn't want her to die. But he doesn't want her around anymore. He needs to get rid of her because she is causing all sorts of problems. The problem is he remembers his deal. He has a flashback, it seems, of repressed memory that he's like a war kid, like a war just ripped through and killed everyone. Yeah, really. It actually looks exactly like it, except there's actually like dead bodies and explosions and tanks. Yeah, I'd rather get hit by lollipops, maybe. They are bullcrap, but I'd rather get hit with them than tanks. I might survive a lollipop attack. But yeah, he was left alone and he felt powerless. The idea of why he became a spy so that nobody would ever have to do that. Now, he's not going to have kids or anything and he's playing his deal, but he didn't want anybody to be alone and he doesn't want Anya to be alone or to get hurt or anything. So he ends up writing, a piece of paper. And even that, he still doesn't even know her name. Actually, you know what? They're playing off that it's not him. It's that he doesn't want to reveal that it's himself. So he's acting like it's this guy.
But he probably doesn't know it anyway,
Yeah, I mean, really. And so I like that, listen, little girl, it's on. Okay, listen, you know the game tag? Me and my buddies back there, we're just playing tag. And, it's pretty fun and a challenging game that we do. And she's like, Papa's a liar. And the funny thing is that the humor in this is all what she's thinking. And I like that we're able, the idea of mind reading and stuff. Maybe they would say we're not going to show other, thought bubbles or something from that. And I'm glad because she's so hilarious. He's like, okay, you get the win, you go. And he just wants her to go down to the police station and show them this paper. And it's just going to say, please take me to an orphanage. I'm abandoned or whatever.
Yeah.
And she does seem like she's like, because she is about to say Papa. And he's like, ready, go, hurry. And she's like, oh, my God. And she's going off. And he's just like, I'm not fit to be a spy. I hate this. And then she looks around as he's taking that fake face off.
Oh.
And she kind of looks startled, but you're going to get more action. You go there because, these guys are going to get theirs.
And this is like,
now he's pissed.
We knew, and this is already kind of, as he was saying, this is kind of like outside of his usual playbook. Like, the spy doesn't go into enemy territory like this. This is like not what he usually does, but he's still going to get the job done. As we see here, it's like John Wick style what's happening here. First, he's got the trap set up, and then that releases like the flower or like the smoke bomb.
Yeah, it's the flower. Because the thing is, if you have flour around, it gets a static electric charge. If you end up shooting a gun, like they even say in this, you will blow up the place. The whole place will blow up.
There you go.
So it's a way for them. Like it's a smart deal. Like the idea that I have to fight all these guys at once. They all have guns. I got to make it so that, number one, they can't see me because now his face is exposed as well. Mm-hmm. But also, I can't have him shoot. So he ends up and he just beats the living crap
it's like
out of
Batman
all of them.
taking him out of the shadows.
It is.
Oh.
It really is. Only to get to that chief where he's behind him with a gun to his head. And he says, you turn around, you're dead. And by the way, your daughter... How's Karen? Well, you know my daughter, and that's the big thing. You stop chasing me. You forget about anything about me, or your daughter is going to be living a living hell, which she's already kind of done. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if this guy ends up really figuring out, oh my God, he was dating my daughter. That was him.
You imagine it could be a whole lot worse as well, you know? This is scary. Like, even like the look at his face, like that is just scary looking.
Yeah, if this guy starts poking around anymore, he's going to murder his daughter. And says, your daughter's involved in illegal crap, so stop your nonsense and stop all of this. And he's done. He ends up leaving then, and he's going to go. He has to find another home because his compromised whole deal. And there's on at the end of the street playing with ants. She didn't go to the freaking police. She wants to be with the papas. And she's all excited and runs up and ends up hugging, and he's like, how did you, what's going on? We're at the home. And then he starts lying again. Well, we got to get a new home. There was a snake in there. They're like, man, Papa's a real big liar. He's the biggest liar ever. And it was pretty funny. The idea that, all this happening and all this where he does remember her, that she was fostered out and returned 4 times that Frankie said. And, if you leave me again, I'll cry, all this. And, hey, he's a cool liar because of all this stuff going on, the snake and stuff. And, hey, we're going to get a new house. Can we live in a castle? If it's on sale, let's go check. And you get the idea. He does have like an unlimited expense account, so they can get some pretty cool places. But they're going to have to go, and you go now. We're getting near the end where she has to take this test. And you get a combo of, they did get the answers, got them from Frankie. So she can memorize stuff. I also think that she's trying to read thoughts, trying to cheat like that, but it does look like most of the people are just morons, all these kids, and have no idea.
Eating, meaty, mighty, mo.
Eating, meaty, mighty, mo. I want my mommy, all this, and I think I think that maybe that's supposed to show that, they did have the things, whatever, but she's smart enough to either remember the answers or she's actually figures, I got to take the test, and she passes. And at one point, she looks like she's about to pass out. She's so upset.
Oh my goodness!
And but she kind of buckles down. And also, the thing is, it's sad because she thinks back, and I guess that's it. She's like, I'm going to read minds. That's the easy way. Oh no, these kids are morons. Let me think. And remembers Twilight just screaming at her about the answers, and then gets to it.
But it got drilled in,
attention. Yeah, and she gets it. And they go and check, and she passed. He breaks down here into a point where he is very happy. We actually see him smile. He gets Anya, picks her up, and wee, and she's up, and it says mission clear. And funny, did I do a good job? You did a very good job. And they're there running around, and he does collapse with her on top of him, like almost, and because he loosened up and realized he hasn't slept in like 3 years, and then just. He passes out pretty much. Then they go home and he really passes out to the point where Anya starts crying and thinks he's dead. She's crying. My papa's dead. They get a a delivery at the door. All the stuff going on, she goes and gets it. It's a letter, and then she goes and snuggles in with him to sleep, and has the little heart there, and
Adorable.
she's there holding him. And it is adorable, but it's not as funny as when he wakes up and freaks out that she's there and tosses her again. And anytime she turns into a rag doll with big giant eyes. Right? It's so funny. And he throws her. She falls off. And what are you trying to give me a heart attack? What's going on? And again, though, he's a spy that is the best of the. You don't fall asleep in front of people.
That's weakness.
They kill you.
Oh,
I mean, you can't. And he's like, "What is going on?" And she's like, "You got mail, Papa." And he opens it up, and this is where you get the big cliffhanger deal of she passed the test, so she goes to the next stage of the interview. I'm telling you, the school has to get a little woke, right?
Right. Oh,
right?
my goodness.
Didn't you think that every time you read it? Because this is that you have to have a mom and a dad, no exceptions, none at all. And just the idea that those highfalutin jerks there on the Board of Education at the school or whatever, we don't need any broken home here. I don't need that nonsense.
That's not very 2021 thinking.
Not at all. And even just the idea, both parents must attend all that. And it's just, but we don't have no mommy. She's like, there's no mommy. And it's so good. It is so good with the deal where now he has the idea you have to have a family and a kid. He thought he could get away with the whole idea of just having a kid. We'll get through this. He didn't know that the school was so close-minded.
Oh.
They're jerks. Though I love the next. I'm telling you, just the beginning of the next chapter 2, you open up. Old Frankie's got his makeup on. And he thinks he's going to play the mom. He's like, no, we're not doing that. But it's so good where that's the cue to add, more characters and things like that just adds so many more complications. I mean, and it's so fun going forward, mainly because Anya is just stuck between those two and her head is spinning with how much cool stuff is going on.
How much crazier can it get from a spy and a telepath? It gets crazier. Don't worry.
Yeah. And really gets crazier in the way of the character comes out of nowhere when you're first introduced to her and like, okay, what's going on? Oh my God, what is going on here? Pretty good. If I remember right, a lot of office hijinks and shade being thrown.
Oh, shade,
At the beginning, a lot that got us mad and stuff. But that'll be in a couple weeks where you'll be able to listen to the chapter 2, or you can go right now and go to the Patreon, the patreon.com/Weird Science Manga, so you can listen to it right now. It's one of the 14 advanced deals there, the early access. But with this, I'm going to give it a 9.7.
Oh.
Like I said, I don't know what happened between that conk on the head and get to the warehouse and have the switcheroo. I don't think I'll ever understand it. It really doesn't make sense. It's cool. And you have to go with the idea that Twilight is a pretty damn good spy and an action hero. John Wick, all those tied into one. So it works out. But other than that, there are a little tiny bit of lows, but the whole thing's great. Yeah. It's one of my favorite ones that we have read. And it continues to be in that chapter 2. In fact, we were trying to think back. I think my score was higher in chapter 2, which is crazy. But what's your score?
I was going to go with this anyway, but you're going to think I'm just doing this just to spite you.
Son of a gun. You're going to go 9.8. Aren't you? You jerk.
9.8.
From now on, I'm going to make you write them down and send them to me blindly. And I won't look at it. But then when you say the score, I'll go over to check. See what the heck. But actually, what I'll do is I'll look earlier and go 1 point higher. So I'll end up cheating anyway.
I've got 9.8 written here. I say mission statement. We get the mission statement right here straight away. We know exactly what's going on. We get the great character work that we really love. And I have Anya is a gem, which she is, and Frankie too. I would say honorary mention to Frankie. He's a gem.
Frankie makes me laugh. Frankie makes me laugh. And like I said, you end up seeing that around Anya that Twilight he's being worse of a spy, but he's being a better person.
There you go.
And that continues, and that's a cool deal. But I think that when you get to the second chapter, I think that why I like it is because we do still have spy stuff in but that's more of him not being able to deal with being a father and trying to do things that he's really bad at, and it's really funny, like going and getting her clothes, and like he doesn't know how. And then you mix in the mom deal of that side where he even is a good guy there. Like he's really starting to become a
We've
good
seen
guy.
that growth happen, haven't we?
Yeah. And it happens pretty quickly in the way that I think that he might always have wanted that, but he's pushed aside. Obviously, when he thinks back as a kid and is abandoned, that's the reason he says at that point I left behind any sort of identity and became a spy. It's not just to save people. It's also to keep himself from, having to live a life in despair and being left behind like he was in a war, it looks like. So, you have a lot of complicated things going on and some cool character stuff. Then throw in the idea that Anya is a telepath that was experimented on and also was abandoned a ton of times. Like they're made for each other in like the weirdest possible way. And they come together in the weirdest possible way, which continues with the mom next issue. And this is one of the books that I think that when me and you like something, one of the things that we love the most in a book is where we can debate each issue. Who's the gem? Because we love the gems. Yeah. And like you even said, this one has 3 in the first chapter. We just add more.
There you go.
The next chapter. And then also the opposite with the scheming, conniving office girls. They're the villains. They're so bad. I hate them. So everybody, thanks for everything, really. Also, rate and review us on the thing. See, I'm coming up with it.
There you go.
Rate and review us if you can. And with that, see you later.